They said that was the 24th time Trout got struck out swinging 3 times in a appearance ever.
I
That's
think
crazy,
24th
dude.
swinging strike, not even strike out.
Yeah.
Oh, I read that wrong.
Yeah, no, Trout's
it's even
elite.
crazier.
That's
Yep.
crazy. But yeah, definitely was an amazing ending to WBC. Definitely enjoyed how that came together, and definitely enjoy it as a whole. As I said at the end of our last episode, who you guys tuned into, there are a lot of folks that weren't paying attention to it at first. It was another baseball tournament with everybody playing in baseball, whatever. Oh, we don't care. But the players seem to really be up for it. There are a lot of the big names in there, putting out their best effort. And with that, the intrigue followed and ended up being a great tournament with a great ending, as we pointed out. So good stuff there. And I want to look at now how that can flow into the MLB season. I'm seeing how all the intrigue that I built, as well as a little bit mixing in the new rule changes that the MLB has and all of that could lead to an exciting season upon us. So definitely some good things here. And yeah, excited to be back here for you guys. Alec and Matt are back here again to have another great episode for you guys. Continue to like, review, subscribe, all that good stuff for us. This is episode 3 of the week, as you guys have been watching. So I'll skip the intro for now and jump straight into our main question. Seeing the success of the WBC this past couple of weeks, did that save baseball as we head into another season where folks may have had, I guess, temporary expectations with how things have been going?
I'll let you start it off, Matt, because you actually sparked my interest in the tournament this year. So I'll let you go.
Yeah, I mean, save is a little much. Like, sadly, I don't think a lot of the excitement that we saw the last, specifically even couple nights, but throughout the tournament, that isn't like really, you can't replicate that in the MLB. Like, at least what drew me in initially was in the beginning of the tournament. You have these teams like Team Italy and Team Israel that are actually, they were mostly filled with people not from the countries, but like of Italian and, like Israeli or Jewish heritage. And then you had a team like the Czech Republic, who was like all people that had day jobs back home. So you had like them, the Czech Republic, I think, faced Shohei Ohtani.
So kind of like the World Cup in that sense.
Yeah. So it's really interesting that way. And then what I found even more interesting about the last couple nights, sorry, G, is that you have like a collection of the best players in the world. Like Team Japan, I think we all kind of saw it last night. Like, I mean, they won the whole tournament. Like, I've heard from, smart baseball people that I trust, at least, that like, this tournament has shown the Japanese leagues are on par to the MLB. So like Japan is more or less a team of all-stars. USA for sure was, there were times,
at least the hitting. Not
hitting.
Quite the pitching.
Right. And like, so I hope the US losing kind of wakes us up and, our better pitchers do go in another 4 years and play in this, because it was a lot of fun. I mean, like all the guys that they interviewed talked about how this is like the most fun that they've had. They interviewed a bunch of people from the Dominican Republic team, I think, and they asked them, would you rather play in like one of these games or the World Series? And I think 4 out of 5 of them chose the World Baseball Classic. So, and like you could see that, that joy out of everyone. Like Randy Rosarena on Team Mexico, he's not even, from Mexico. Like it doesn't necessarily carry like that, land where I was born pride, but he still has a lot of pride for Team Mexico, and it showed. He was having a ball out there. Like it's so much fun to watch.
Why can't that be replicated by the MLB?
It's a lot of like the unwritten rule stuff that we talk about, that unfortunately comes up every year, like after someone gets hit or, celebrates a home run too much. I think it's a lot of that. And then also like when you think about MLB clubhouses, there's usually like a few Venezuelan guys, a couple guys from the Dominican, maybe a couple guys from Mexico, and then, people from the US, a couple from Curacao, whatever. Like everyone gets to come together, and everyone in the clubhouse likely speaks the same language. I don't know if Lars Nootbaar knew Japanese before going, but like he didn't. I mean, that's even crazier. So he had his own unique experience in that way. But, like it's the one time these guys all get to come together, and, they don't feel like, okay, I kind of have my like segment of the clubhouse that's like, my guys from the Dominican I can talk to, or, relate to that way. Now it's the entire clubhouse,
I guess enjoyment wise, and you kind of alluded to with the unwritten rules part that you brought up. It seemed like the fans were up and rocking most of the other games, and the intrigue with that, the players carried some energy. Why has the MLB here taken more of almost a golf approach to its game, other than racing. I guess the excitement that we see in other places like we saw in the WBC.
Well, I was going to say too, I think there's an extra level of pride in playing for your country that a lot of these players have and exhibited through their play in this tournament, and that we saw from the fans. I think there's a huge pride factor in showing that we're just as good, if not better, than the elite players that you have in your MLB and from coming from the U.S. Like we talked about the talent discrepancy between college basketball teams versus college football teams. In the NBA, like when we go to the Olympics, there's usually a pretty big talent gap between the USA teams, and other countries have gotten closer with their talent, and it's been a huge sense of pride for them. I think it's a similar thing with baseball, and for Japan, stamping that their league is just as good, if not as more talented, some of their players that they have over in Japan. So I think it's a large pride factor as to why it means so much to those other countries, and what made this tournament so exciting to watch, like from a fan perspective, because they were hopping like in some of those stadiums for sure. And that final was electric between Japan and the US.
Can they replicate it at least in small portion, in that maybe not all season long, but like the All-Star game? Can the All-Star game, I think you pointed out the WBC is every 4 years, correct? 4 years?
Yeah.
So like every 2 years, we took the team that won in the tournament, or the two top teams in the tournament, and have them replay for the All-Star game or something like that. I don't know. Just throwing stuff out there. Could there be a way to bring some of that we saw there into the MLB in a way, like in that regard?
Maybe during the All-Star weekend or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that's an idea. I hadn't heard anything like that, but that would be a really good way to like showcase the international players, because they're even, like most of Team Cuba were players that like might have been famous in like the Korean leagues or whatever, but like we just don't know them as American baseball fans. So
Right.
It could be a chance to like showcase a lot of international talent. Like I know part of Japan, like Matsaka Yoshida he's about to start playing for the Red Sox finally. And then like Japan also had a pitcher in like his early 20s that was throwing like 102 miles an hour, like crazy talented pitcher. So, it could be a chance to show off all that talent. And I mean, I'm pretty sure, at least like checking the scores and whatnot, it was all on like the MLB's website. So I'm pretty sure the MLB owns this tournament. So like they should be able to, get creative with it like that.
I definitely think they should, because as I said, it definitely was intriguing and picking up, even though I picked up kind of at the end of it, seeing what was going on. And it definitely was a fun thing that I'd love to see echoed in the MLB during the season in some kind of way. So yeah, definitely good stuff there. What other things you have to say about the WBC and your enjoyment of it? Any other big takeaways from the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of complaining, at least online, from people about the injuries that were suffered by some players through the tournament, and it being quote unquote meaningless baseball being played at the World Baseball Classic. And me personally, like I strongly disagreed with that. I mean, we get meaningless baseball from spring training games as well. And guys just as likely to get hurt playing in those games as well. But this is a more exciting world wide tournament where you get guys the chance to play some legit meaningful games, like for their legacies, for their careers, that we just saw in Ohtani and Trout, who may have not had deep playoff runs in the majors, but got to play on this big stage against some of the best competition in the world. I felt like, I guess some of the arguments weren't really in good faith about the injuries and the tournament in general. It was largely just sour fans of individual teams whose player got hurt. And it was freak injuries too that happened, especially the Edwin Diaz one. Which is really rough for the Mets and rough for Edwin Diaz, but that could have happened at any point. So yeah.
Maybe you have something to say?
Matt.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say, like, even back to your question, G, like, is this saving baseball? Like, I think in a way it's really helping grow the game. Like, looking back at sort of like the dream team for basketball, like the dream team making those Olympic runs, like we're kind of seeing the dividends that pays with all the international superstars now. Like you can credit a lot of, like how, that brought basketball to other countries and like really increased the popularity of it back in the 90s. And, like that may have inspired a lot of the European players that we're seeing now. And like, not even just that, but like, if basketball is more popular in Slovenia, they're going to develop the infrastructure around it. So now we get, players from those countries. And, so I think in time, I think the World Baseball Classic could do similar things in countries, because like I said earlier, like one of the more interesting parts to me is seeing these underrepresented countries. It was like, oh, who would have thought Great Britain would have a team? Turns out it's mostly players from the Bahamas.
Right.
Sort of like Curacao to the Netherlands. But still, it's like, okay, that's a showcase for all the talent that's in the Bahamas, because that is a place where the game is growing currently. So, it's a cool way to spread the game. And I think baseball does need that, because if the popularity dwindles a little bit in the US, as people have been talking about, you can grow it elsewhere.
I have one question, I guess, for you, Matt. What do you think like raised the intrigue of this year's World Baseball Classic specifically? Because I knew about it in past years and like kind of would hear like who won, but I wasn't paying attention to the games, and I was a baseball fan. So like I was wondering like what made it more intriguing like this. Was it like more of the stars actually agreed to play like for the US this time, or agreed to play for other teams?
There's a history of stars playing. Like I know I'm referencing another Red Sox player, but like Daisuke Matsuzaka was a really good Japanese pitcher. He had one good year for the Red Sox, and I think the season after that, he played in the World Baseball Classic, and it was before they had a lot of rules like surrounding, like pitch count and can you pitch on back-to-back days. So they were just like, this is our best pitcher. We're throwing him out there as often as we can. And then he had dealt with a lot of injuries the rest of his career. So now that they finally have like rules around this and like pitch counts, and especially since it's right before the season, I think they had to institute a lot of that this year. And I think that helps players, get, I guess, permission from their clubs, because it is a risk, like you see with Edwin Diaz. But I think regardless, like the MLB, like I'm pretty sure that they own this property. They should be, encouraged by this, because like social media numbers, I think like, the Aaron Judge, like record-breaking home run this season got like 2 million views, and like highlights from this tournament would get like 7 million views, because the international audience is
right. Yeah.
So, if we continue to expand that, I think this could, be really good for the game.
I'll say this for me, because I'm the most casual of the group, and it's gonna be awkward to say with my Dodger hat on, but there was a clip of a couple of clips of Shohei just going crazy. And I was like, dude, all right, what's going on? He's throwing 100 miles an hour still. He's launching baseballs
500.
I was like, all right, dude, let me tune in real quick and see what's happening. And I didn't realize, like I always, of course, we've been talking about him for some time now, so I knew what spectacle he was, but just continuing to see, I guess, on a worldwide stage, just how truly, I guess, polarizing he was. And now he brought me to watch the game over there, what was going on over there. He did it. And then just, again, seeing also that the players themselves really cared, really goes a long way. We continue to say, fans love to throw out that meaningless. So every game that's not a championship game, or a playoff game, was meaningless, or it's not the MLB or the NBA, it's meaningless. But these players actually got up and really cared for this event, as you pointed out earlier. Definitely got my interest. Wanting to see guys actually play at their highest level, we'll do that. So hopefully the MLB and other leagues see what's going on there and find more ways to get guys to get up for games. Because I definitely enjoyed that. So we'll see what ripple it has in MLB.
I mean, I do also think something that's worth mentioning is like, if you think back to the NBA bubble, like fans like to try to, put like the importance of sports on them, right? Like, oh, the players aren't going to be as intense because, the fans, they aren't going to have the motivation of the fans to be there.
Right.
Well, they were just as intense. It was kind of cool from like a viewer perspective. It was more of like a raw product in front of you. You could hear everything they were saying pretty much. And
Russ
then
yelling at babies.
Yeah, exactly. But the point I'm trying to say is like the players are the ones that bring the intensity. The players are the ones that basically put meaning into this, right? Like, you know, when Trey Turner hits his walk-off grand slam, like everyone empties out of the dugout. You only see that in like the World Series.
Yeah,
so like,
you could tell they cared for sure.
Yeah, like Edwin Diaz hurts himself celebrating. He's not celebrating a spring training game. He's celebrating winning in the World Baseball Classic.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Good point.
Got you. So we shall see how that carries over. They weren't using MLB rules with the pitch clock and all that, were they?
No. I don't think so. No.
So did that bother you guys at all? Did the game feel slowed down because of that, or do you still think that MLB implementing those rules will be a positive?
It didn't feel slowed down because it's like that's how the MLB has been like for the longest. Right. I'm interested to see. So I'm actually going to be going to a spring training game like in a couple of days, like how it feels with the pitch clock, like if it feels like the game is a little bit too sped up or if it just feels natural. I'm interested to see how that feels live and in person. But I guess I'm fine either way, but I like the addition of the pitch clock. Like I'm not mad at it like some baseball purists are.
Right.
Yeah. I like it too. I think the only time I really noticed the pitch clock not being there, because again, like these guys are getting used to the pitch clock in spring training, and then so like I think early on, like in the games that don't matter as much, like they aren't the quarterfinal, the final, whatever. You know, guys are still used to going at that pace, but then like watching the World Baseball Classic, I was like, I might almost miss like not like waiting 50 seconds between each pitch.
The tension just ratcheted up with every
but no, I think it's a good thing overall. And I mean, the only time I really noticed it was the intense moments where you know guys are nervous and taking longer. It makes sense.
Got it. So yeah, very excited to see what ripple effect the WBC has on the WBC season going forward. I definitely enjoyed what the tournament itself was, and love that the guys got up for that. And I love to see how that ended. We guys to that last point. What do you guys think about that last Ohtani versus Trout matchup?
Oh, that was dope.
What does that mean for the Angels? Should they more pressure to make sure they get these guys in game like that? And during the
they should feel the.
They've had that pressure for years and haven't delivered.
Yeah, so. it's been 20 years, 21 years. I guess 2002 was when they won their last World Series. And it's been a lot of rough years in between. Yeah,
they made the playoffs once with Trout and 0 times with Ohtani.
So. They were like, Mike Trout's played 3 playoff games. He's 0 for 3. So I'm like,
and it was like really early in his career too.
Yeah,
not right at all.
I think, I mean, back to what we talked about earlier. I think that's part of what made this year different, though. Like people, I mean, we really got like the storybook script ending, like
really did,
you know, with Ohtani striking out Trout, but like that was, you know, I mean, if you think about like how many times since they're not making the postseason, how many times are the Angels on national TV? How many times are, you know, as the country really able to watch these guys? They aren't. You see Trout hit a homer and a, you know, 6-5 loss on SportsCenter. And that's kind of what you see of these guys. So, you know, we actually saw him and it delivered. Ohtani was incredible.
Face off too was great.
Season Ohtani will be putting on that Dodger cap that Garrett has over there.
I mean, in a few months.
See that, Matt. Check that out. Definitely excited to see how this season plays out. Alec, you're going to spring training games. I'll be trying to get you in the games as well. I'm excited to see how that all goes this season. The Dodgers might be trying to temper some expectations because of injuries and all that, but either way, should be a fun season to follow. Looking forward to how these things play out. So good stuff here as you get ready for the season. Definitely appreciate WBC for how that played out. And any last words about anything you want to add in, or are we good from here?
I'm seeing the Ohtani GOAT debate starting to be thrown out there. I don't know about all that, but when it's all said and done, he very well could be up there with the dual threat, the pitching and the hitting. He's sensational. So.
Yeah, I think he's on track. Like he might not have like 700 home runs like Babe Ruth, but he will have pitched and hit simultaneously.
Is that what you're still saying in 2023? I'm asking.
Is Babe Ruth still? Honestly, like Trout is up there too, in my opinion. It's just he doesn't have the playoff success, but that's not fully his fault either.
Yeah,
with the Angels organization.
I mean, I'd personally say Barry Bonds, but that obviously is loaded.
He had a Hall of Fame career before the roids too. So
yeah, that's why I'm comfortable saying that. But
yeah, I can't see, when did Babe Ruth play? 1873.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, but apparently Babe Ruth had some black in him though, so we got to give him some credit.
He was Dominican on the low. Yeah.
It's time to move on.
Ted Williams was Mexican too. They don't want to tell you that.
G is a big proponent of legend erasure. He likes to get Braun out of here in his statistics. So Ohtani might do that for Babe Ruth for you.
There we go. All right, that's fine with me. So I won't have an Ohtani jersey just yet. When he gets that blue one, I'll have one. But definitely appreciate what he's doing. And for right now, I'll say he's my GOAT. Sure, I'll go ahead and give him that. I don't know, but yeah, definitely excited to see how things going to play out with them. Excited for the season and all of that. That's 3 of 3 for you guys right now. We'll actually have a fourth real episode for you guys tomorrow, talking about the Lakers after the Suns game tonight, as we mentioned. And then for right now, those are 3 real ones for you guys. We have a bonus one for you. We said we were going to do our movie bracket this week. We're going to save that for next week. We have Matt on. We're going to talk about fast food instead. We've joked about some fast food stuff, jokes on here for a little while now. To have an official bracket for you guys, we're going to do that. And in the spirit of March Madness and all of that, I'm excited to keep this thing rolling. So 3 episodes for you guys right now. Appreciate you guys tuning back into us. Really appreciate all the love. Like, rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff for us. Matt, thank you for joining us for the Jules Conversations. Excited for this next one as well. And yeah, we appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. We out of here for the moment. Peace.
Deuces.